What's going on, everybody? So in this video, we are going to be talking about my top 5 cold email tips you gotta know if you want to dominate B2B sales. Now, a quick shout out to HubSpot for supporting the channel and helping make this video possible. And let's go ahead and dive right in. So no matter whether you are a salesperson or maybe you're a sales manager or you do any type of B2B prospecting, right? The challenge is that sometimes when you send a cold email, not a lot of people are going to respond. And so what are the things that you can do to shift that and change the narrative so that your response rates start to increase, you start to get more meetings, and ultimately you can close more deals. So the first thing that a lot of people overlook is actually evaluating or re-evaluating your offer. Now, here's the thing. No matter what it is you're selling, you have to really understand whether or not what you're selling is competitive to the rest of the market. Meaning, if you sold the same thing that everybody can sell and everybody can do just as good as you, and maybe they can do it faster and cheaper, well, why would anybody respond to you, especially if maybe you don't even have a brand name, right? They would go for somebody else. So the first thing you have to do is evaluate your offer to see if what you're selling is something actually competitive. Because I've seen so many different times where people, they try really hard, they send hundreds of emails, right? Maybe they're not that experienced, and then they're like, oh man, Patrick, it's not working. I just sent it to all these people, I followed up 3 times like you said, and nobody is responding. And usually the issue is not necessarily that the cold email doesn't work. Cold email definitely does work. The challenge is that their offer is just not good. So if you're selling a product and service that is just not good, if you're an entrepreneur, you can change your product, change your service, and create a different offer so that it's more appealing to somebody, right? Now, if you're working at a company, what you can do is you can switch jobs and find a better product to sell, or you can change the narrative of how you present your offer so that it's more attractive to your ideal customer. And I'll give you a personal example of something that I personally am going through like currently right now, right? So some of you guys might know I am in the NFT space. I actually have an NFT channel called The Parallax dedicated to NFTs. And because I have that, and I also launched my own NFT project, a lot of people, they come up to me, they message me, they ask me, Patrick, hey, I need help launching my own project just like how you did it, right? And at the time, I didn't offer any services. I was just like, I'm kind of busy with my own project. I don't really want to help other people right now because I don't have the capacity, right? And just so many people started asking me for these services because number 1, they cannot find someone else in the market that they can trust. Number 2, they see my brand, they see everything I'm doing, and they want me to do what I did for myself. Because of that positioning, I'm in a field where there's very little competition. A lot of people trust my brand. So it's like, if I don't even want to offer my services, these people are asking me to pay me money to help them out, right? And that's just an example of really good positioning when it comes to entrepreneurship, creating an offer, creating a product and service that people want, right? And so instead of me pretending or creating something that nobody wants, I just ask them, hey, what do you need? And then if I choose to offer them those services that they're already willing to pay money for, then it's an easy sell. So if I, let's say, helped one client and I emailed 10 clients who are similar to the person I just helped, obviously they're gonna respond back to me much more highly because my offer is such in demand, right? And so the positioning of your offer is going to be incredibly important in anything you do. And if you really want to increase your response rates, that's the first thing you got to do. So the next tip I have for you when it comes to cold emailing is you need to A/B test everything. So, now that you have a good offer and you're sending it out to people, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So you need a process to understand why it works and why it doesn't. And this is why A/B testing is very important. So A/B testing, all it really is, just changing one variable of an email and seeing which one works better. For example, let's say you have an email, you have a subject line, you have a body, you have a call to action. Very simple, right? So let's say you send 100 emails to these group of people and 100 emails to this group of people. They will be exactly the same thing, but let's say you just change the subject line for, email number 2. Well, email number 2 worked better than email number 1. So from now on, I will use this subject line because it proved to be more successful. And so that's pretty much A/B testing, right? So when you're doing any type of cold emailing, understand you can A/B test your subject lines, your body, what you're offering in the body, and your call to action in the end, whether you're asking for a meeting or what's the next step, right? You need to keep A/B testing everything. And so the way I approach it is that every email campaign, you have to A/B test, right? And you're always trying to improve one variable on every email. So after, sending, let's say, like dozens of different campaigns, you'll tweak all these things until you increase your response rate a little bit every single time. And after doing that for a month or 2, then you should have something that's very optimized for a specific target demographic. So don't forget to do this. Don't be sending your emails and not understanding what works and what doesn't. Use some kind of software so that you can A/B test these things, track it, make adjustments, and see what works and see what doesn't. So before you even start A/B testing, what I would actually do before that step is to find some type of proven template that has like data to back it up to show that, it is something that can potentially work, and use that template and use it for your specific product and service. So one resource that I can recommend is going to be HubSpot's 25 proven email templates, which you can actually download for free. And if you want to learn more about this, there's going to be a link in the description where you can actually download all these 25 proven templates. So, if you're, reaching out to prospects for the first time, you want to follow up with them. Maybe you sent them a voicemail and you want to send them an email to follow up. Many type of scenarios that these emails can actually help you for. And the best part about these templates is that they're actually proven to convert, meaning that because HubSpot has a lot of data, they tried this out, there's actually statistical evidence that these emails have proven to work. However, just because you use it doesn't mean it will guarantee it will work for you, but you have to massage it and change it up a bit so that it works for your specific product and service in your industry. But these have worked in the past for other industries, so that just gives you a leg up, and it gives you something you can work on top of and A/B test until it works for you. So if you want to learn more about this, go ahead and click the link in the description, download the email templates, try it out, and you are good to go. Now, moving on to the next tip, the next thing we got to talk about is following up, right? So you might have a great offer, maybe you got a good initial email template that somewhat works, right? But you have to remember, following up is very important, because when you're reaching out to entrepreneurs, CEOs, executives, they are always going to be busy, and sometimes they see your message or your email and they want to respond, but something just came up and then they just completely forgot about it, right? So that's why you got to follow up. There are different strategies of how you can follow up, but generally the rule of thumb, you should at least follow up 3 times, and then each follow-up should come between 3 to 7 days usually, and that's what I usually recommend to my students. And if you want to learn more about those follow-ups, go ahead and check out those HubSpot templates, because they got some follow-ups in there as well. Now, the thing you have to know about follow-ups is that you never want to take it personally. If people don't respond, don't be like, oh my God, this guy's so mean. It's just that they're busy, right? And you just have to keep pinging them until they actually respond. Sometimes you have to change your offer a little bit and just like reposition what you're selling, but a lot of times if you just like follow up 3 times, you will increase your response rates, right? So for example, if you send the first email and you're getting like 6% response rate, every follow-up after that, you should be getting like another like 4 to 6%. So then you can get, maybe after a campaign of 4 emails, you might get between 20 to 25% response rate, which is actually pretty good for cold email, right? So following up is the key if you want to generate more leads. Now, the next tip I have for you is that during your cold emails, at the very end, make sure your goal is to book a meeting, right? A lot of people, sometimes they try to sell their product and service that might be expensive, might be not, just through an email. And it's actually very difficult to convince a company to buy via email, because they want to make sure they can trust you, they can trust your product, they want to know, other customers that you help. So they have all these questions, right, that are very difficult to answer during an email, because it's very logical. But when you get on the phone with somebody, you can sell them emotionally, you can make them feel like you're someone of trust, you can build that rapport, and then it's just so much easier for you to sell your products and services. So at the end of the email, I always usually recommend that you have some kind of call to action, something like, hey, if it makes sense to talk, feel free to book a time on my calendar, or, let me know what your calendar looks like, right? Depending on how you want to do it. And then you send them the link, and then they're going to pick a time, and then you're going to have a conversation. So if you think about it from a fundamental level, the only goal of a cold email is to get someone to book a time on your calendar so you can talk to them, learn about them, and potentially sell your products and services, right? It's all about whether or not it's going to be a good fit. And so the email itself is almost like a qualifier to see, hey, does this guy even pass my test of screening? Because if they are not a good fit, why even waste your time talking to them on the phone, right? And so that's powerful for an email. So it's not just like them responding to your email, but it's you filtering out the right prospects to make sure that you're talking to the right people. Very important, because if you're a salesperson, you're an account executive, you're an SDR, your time is the most valuable thing that you have, and you do not want to waste it on tire kickers. All right, so the 5th tip that I have for everyone is that when something is working, you want to double down. Now, when it comes to sales prospecting, I know a lot of people, they think that doing omni-channel is going to be the most bang for your buck in terms of time, right? So let's say they're doing cold email starts working. They're like, okay, now I'm going to do cold calling. Now I'm going to do LinkedIn. Now I'm going to do social selling. Now I'm going to create content. They're like octopus, trying to do everything, right? Now, this does work in the long term if you have a team to do each one of these things, but it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of time, and it takes a lot of brain power to learn how to do each platform, because they are actually all different. If you're like more of a solo sales rep, maybe you're a solo entrepreneur, coach, consultant, or something like that, understand that if you have one way to generate leads, that's actually enough to like generate substantial revenue, right? So like, let's say you're doing cold emailing and it's working. Instead of jumping on cold calls right now, why not just double down on cold emailing and increase your conversions, increase the amount of meetings that you get with the cold email? Because when you split your time so many different ways per day, each one is not going to be that effective. But if you just narrow down and focus on like one thing, that's going to be so much more effective compared to doing 5 things at once. Realistically, if you're just a regular person trying to make it in the sales game, you know, if you have cold emailing and it's working and you're getting a ton of meetings, why do anything else, right? Just cold email, get your responses up, try different strategies when it comes to cold emailing, see what can be optimized to increase your response rate, and then you just blow up your calendar with cold emails, right? So if something is working, truly double down, right? Don't start looking everywhere and getting distracted. Sometimes to get the best results, you do the same thing over and over. Yes, it's boring, but you master your craft. And that's where I feel like a lot of people are missing out, especially the younger generation of salespeople, because they think they have to do everything. But really, if they just do one thing really well, it can actually accomplish most of their professional goals. And so with that said, that is everything we got to cover when it comes to my top 5 cold emailing tips. If you enjoyed it, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, and I will see you guys in the next one.